All right. I think we are recording. So, welcome, guys. This is a Zoom that I put together just to kind of shoot from the heart a little bit and allow people to ask questions. I've been on a journey with using the Isagenix products and kind of changing them around, manipulating the system to get into nutritional ketosis. And I might as well share my story real quick. Authentically, in the last about year, I've been making some not terrible nutrition choices, but I knew I was letting myself go. And I was making probably the biggest choice that I regret, and we're working on that, is the consumption of alcohol. So I knew that the alcohol contributed to me gaining some fat weight. To put it in reference, I am a big fan with all my personal people that I can have a hands-on approach with. And I also suggest it to other people, is to get your body composition done. There are numerous ways. There's the I don't want to say magnetic, but the impedance systems. You can go have a nutritionist do I think the old school is where they pinch your belly fat and kind of measure it that way. But there are different ways to determine not just your weight, but your muscle weight, your fat weight, your water weight, everything like that. So that was a big starting point. I know how much exact muscle I have in my body. I know how much exact fat I have in my body. I'm not even paying attention to really just overall weight. So I want that to sink in, and I highly encourage everyone to really get down to the nitty gritty details of, hey, how much muscle and fat am I holding on to, rather than just an overall weight. So my fat weight is absolutely unacceptable a couple of months ago. And I will take this opportunity to shout out to my good friend and mentor, Mike Lance. He's a 15-time Ironman, a 6-figure income earner here in Isagenix. And he really took me under his wing and said, I really want to take a look at this. I'm an endurance athlete. You're a weight trainer. For those of you who don't know me, I do a lot of weight training, and that's my personal training expertise, is there in the gym with the weights. And so I was excited to do this, to see how getting into nutritional ketosis could help, what I would experience. So I took this as a total learning experience. I took this as let's see what I can do. And I'm just so happy. I think my Facebook post today was day 26 into this. I'm going to go back and just kind of go through a quick story of the last 26 days of the last month. The first important part is the first 14 days, me and Mike talked about the importance of actually transitioning to keto. And it's called keto adaptation. You can't just jump in. You can't just, but at the same time, we've also discovered that if you take way too long adapting and, okay, I'm going to go 100 carbs a day and then 50, you're not going to quite get into it. So for the first 14 days, I went under, or 20 net grams of carbs or under. That is extremely important. A strategy that I firmly believe that helped me was day 1 and day 2. I did and completed I guess it was technically a 60-hour fast, but the 48-hour deep cleanse with Isagenix. To me, and I'll let any of you guys, if you guys have any comments, you guys can comment all day. To me, it just made sense, because we know about the science of the cleanse. It's going to strip out those sugars, and then the next day, we're really getting into that real fat-burning mode. Not to go too much into anything of this realm, but the more and more I learned about ketosis, I'm a firm believer that John Anderson absolutely knows about ketosis. And there's a reason why things like MCT oil are added to the shakes. And I do believe now, after kind of researching it, that on our cleanse days, we are definitely getting into a stage of ketosis. So for those of you that know what really ketosis is, we'll start with this. Your body, for most people, are burning carbohydrates within their body, the glucose, the blood sugars at varying different stages. And so the whole point of nutritional ketosis is to reduce your carbs and actually transition from your body being fueled on carbs and sugar to actually using fat and burning fat. And don't we all want fat burning? So that's the basics. And so when we start shifting, well, when we start lowering our carbs significantly and we start getting into that fat burning mode, then the real light comes on and our liver produces what are called ketones. These are what our brain feeds on actually when we get into nutritional ketosis. So your body is kind of fueling on that, but for the most part, it's fueling on the leftover carbs and fat, and your brain is really taking up those ketone levels. So back to my first 14 days, I started it off with the 2-day cleanse, and I just got it all out of me. I felt very clean. I felt, just like you would. Now, how many of you out there can't wait to go eat a pizza after your 48-hour deep cleanse? Don't go do that, okay? This is the whole point, to get those, to significantly reduce those carbohydrates. Now, someone who is not using the Cleanse for Life, they're going to be okay, but it's going to just take a bit longer. Doesn't that make sense? That their body's got to burn off the carbohydrates and whatever. So I actually think, everyone's going to have an opinion. The leading researchers, and I have my book here, the leading researchers kind of behind this, I'm going to shout out to them. Let's talk about them for just a minute. Dr. Dominic D'Agostino has a TED Talk that I highly suggest that you guys go check out. It's about 10 minutes long, and it's about how they're starving cancer. And this is all about what his research led him to believe of the benefits of the ketogenic diet. The other two researchers that have now really come out with 2 powerful books are Dr. Jeff Volek and Dr. Stephen Phinney. And so I'm going to kind of pause here and show this. It's probably backwards, I don't know. But this book's called The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance. And the other one that they actually wrote before this is The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. I'm going to just sound it out right here. You need these 2 books if you want to do this. This is where all of our information is really coming from. It's the most powerful information. These doctors have actually worked with athletes and tested the benefits of the ketogenic diet. So a lot of our information is coming from there. I'm not just going to copy it, but that's really helped us. So that's my first bit of advice, is to educate yourself. Get the books, listen to the TED Talk, and then if you guys want to, get ready to get blown up. If you guys go search Dr. Volek or Dr. Phinney, especially Dr. Volek, and Dr. D'Agostino on YouTube, you'll be there for days. There is so much here. Bodybuilding.com did an awesome podcast with Dr. D'Agostino, and he goes in and it's almost like he addresses all the little questions that we all have. Why am I feeling a certain way when I do this? Why are my ketones lower in the morning than afternoon and whatever? So kind of, I don't want to jump too much around, but that is a very good basis for anyone who wants to educate themselves and do this, to go read those books and to find out what they're saying and the benefits of it. And it kind of starts shifting some of your paradigms. So I've learned so much. Kind of back to that 14-day, I started off with the cleanse, as I've already mentioned. And then from there, I jumped right in. And for 14 straight days, I was 20 net grams of carbs or below. Now, an important aspect that comes to my mind for some of you that may not know this, but when we're looking on any of our nutrition or supplement fact labels, especially with the Isagenix nutrition, you're going to have carbohydrates listed there, but pay attention to your dietary fiber, because for those that you do not know, for example, the isolene shakes have 24 grams of carbohydrates, but eight dietary fibers, so that lowers it. Maybe I have my numbers off, but be aware that the dietary fiber you do not absorb, and it does not count calorically. So when we say net grams of carbs, that's the total amount of carbs minus the dietary fiber carbs. Does that make sense? So, and I'll get into products here in a minute, but it just comes to my mind. The greens, the Isagenix greens are great for keto using our products, because it has 5 grams of carbs, but I believe 3.5 of them are dietary fiber. So you're really looking at 2 grams of carbs net for a scoop of greens, and they are phenomenal tasting when you add them to a shake. So I want that concept to really get through. This can be tough, guys. I'm also going to extend my gratitude once again to my buddy Mike Lance, who, when I started this, I just remember this. So he called me up and he said, this is not going to be easy. This is a total a mindset kind of thing. And I'm so grateful for that, because I was able to, for a couple days, really think and ponder and develop my mindset of why I was doing this, rather than, oh, I'm just going to do this for fun. It is tough. Your mind can play tricks with you when you start getting into nutritional ketosis, because as we all love our carbohydrates, finally your body is saying, wait, where's all these carbs that you used to feed me? You know, especially anyone who's kind of addicted to junk food, or, you know, a high sugary soda pop or anything like, none of that here, right? So be prepared. Mindset is a huge thing. And that's why I talk about so much about educating yourself. Realize and learn what's actually going to go on inside your body. So I think my heart is telling me the next step to kind of go to is, and I think this is the giant question from our friend Kate here, is how do we use these products that Isagenix has that have carbohydrates in them to still achieve ketosis? So I'm going to give you guys some ideas, and I'm a person who likes to empower people rather than just tell them things to do. So it's kind of a mental workshop. You have to get out a piece of paper and do these kind of things. But this is what we're really looking at for those first 14 days. So we're going to start once again with our 20 net grams of carbs. I don't care if you want to have an isolene shake in the morning and use up 16 of those carbs, but you've got 4 carbs left for the entire day. Me personally, this is what I did. So this might be time for a recipe time. My morning shake consists of, first of all, I love, and my mother is on here too. She probably won't be happy for me to say this, but guys, if there's any coffee that you should be drinking, it's Isagenix coffee. 6.25 pH, has coconut oil infused in it. And I'm telling you right now, a very popular term that you will hear within the ketogenic community is bulletproof coffee. It's pretty much coffee with coconut oil in it. We have coconut oil infused in ours, and I still add coconut oil to mine. I'm getting as much, I shouldn't quite say that yet, but I'm getting a lot of fat, which we'll transition into for a minute. So per day, 20 net grams of carbs. I want you guys to start educating yourself with your Isagenix products. For example, we've got Cleanse for Life here. 2 fluid ounces is 5 grams. So I don't know about you guys, but I was taking 4 fluid ounces sometimes every morning, you know, and you got to be, so that's 10 grams of carbs if I was doing that. So start thinking to yourself, wait a second, you know, I could reduce this. Here's some ideas. I started taking a half of an ounce of Ionics every other day. You know, some people may say, wait a second, I need my full ounce. Here's what I'm gonna tell you, and I hope you'll believe my testimony. Guys, it is a tough transition period, but when you get into nutritional ketosis, I believe you will echo what I felt, what my buddy Mike Lance felt is, man, do I really, really need that Ionics? I mean, the minerals are important, but I feel amazing. So if you're looking for that feel-good feeling, know that it's going to come. Know that once you start transitioning all the way into ketosis, that you will start feeling the ketones fuel your brain, and you will live all day euphorically. And that is no small statement. So yeah, some morning, or about every other morning, I take a half a shot or an ounce of the Ionic Supreme. That, you know, it's putting a little, I believe it's 2 or 3 carbs net at that point. And so, you know, that might be there was one day where I was like super stressed, and I came home after a workout and took a whole ounce, and I'm like, you know, it's worth it to me today. But, you know, for the most part, I was kind of pacing it through. Then I'm going to transition to my morning shake. This is my favorite little recipe, so you guys might want to jot this down if this interests you. I'm a big fan of French pressing the Isagenix coffee. I believe that if you get your water too hot or through a machine, it just doesn't taste as good. So I French press all my Isagenix coffee. And then this is the cool thing, guys, we have such premium quality ingredients. I'm able to, once I down my pitcher of coffee, you know, throughout the day or over the course of a couple days, I actually rebrew it. It still has enough flavor in there to give me a flavor. And that's what I was looking for. I wanted something that was going to add some flavor. I know I'm still getting some caffeine, but not as much caffeine for it. So you choose. If you want to use pure strength coffee, great. If you want to do what I did, I double brew mine, and it allows me to use it's not as strong. And I use that as my water base that you're going to make your shake. Then I add some ice, depending on how much I want. And here's where we get into the ingredients, okay? I particularly chose the dairy-free vanilla chai, not just for ketogenic purposes, but I absolutely love that. The vanilla chai, kind of coffee, mocha, anything in that realm, I just absolutely love. So this worked perfect for me. So I've got my coffee, my water, and then I'm going to actually do 1/4 of that dairy-free Isoline vanilla shake. So that what that comes out to, remember, those are in packets only. So I took out a scoop from another shake canister and it was like 60 grams versus the 59 or something like that, you know, close enough for me to measure it out. So I'm literally doing 1/2 of a scoop of shake in there. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's like 3.5 net grams of carbs. So do you see how I'm keeping my carbs down? Because the carbs are in the Isoline or the Isoline Pro. Then here comes my Isa Pro. Guys, I officially went from buying Isoline and Isoline Pro. It's out because of the bedtime belly buster lately. It's kind of funny, but I've been buying a lot of it as well, just because the pure protein, and we do know there's a carb or two in there. You have to take that into effect, but way different than, you know, the Isoline or the Isoline Pro. So 2 scoops of chocolate Isopro. You could do vanilla as well. I prefer the chocolate. And then here's the kicker. I absolutely love the organic extra, or what is it? This is the Costco. I'm sure you guys have seen this, organic virgin coconut oil. Man, I've probably gone through this canister almost all the way in the last month. I mean, I use so much of it, but I'm putting 3 whole tablespoons of coconut oil into that shake. So what I want you guys to imagine too, and I better take some of the, you know, I know enough about macro or macro blueprint, but some people on here may not. So let's just quickly address that. We've all probably heard that the Isoline shakes are formulated in the 40-30-30 complex, the perfect fat burning complex. And that means 40% comes from carbs, 30% comes from protein, and 30% comes from fat. So with that skeleton kind of macro blueprint, I want you guys to adjust to the following. This is my macro blueprint. I'm doing 5% carbs, 30% protein, and 65% fat. Does that make the change in your brain of what you're doing? You're lowering your carbs and you're increasing your fat. Not necessarily 1 for 1, but I'll take you to how you can calculate it for yourself. So we'll go back to the carbs. We're going to keep that 20 grams of carbs perfectly still. Then I wish I could just flash this out to you guys, but I do know where a link to it is. This is what I did. The point or the difference between ketogenic and Atkins is high protein and ketogenic is optimal protein. You can get too much protein, and the reason is that extra protein that you consume will turn into glucose, which turns into sugar, which is what we're trying to keep on the low anyway. So I used Dr. Colgan's protein calculator. If you guys have heard of that, it's a protein calculator that he developed for the Olympic athletes and for all his athletes and everything. And I think I calculated mine to about 148 grams of protein a day for what I needed for my muscle building and whatever. But that's going to be your individual number. and I can help get you guys the link to that, so you guys can go through that. So you've got back again the 20 grams of carbs. You've gone through this worksheet and you know how much protein you need per day. You're going to go to something like MyFitnessPal or another nutrition tracking software, and you're going to develop a macro blueprint that has that 20 net grams of carbs as about 5 to 10% of your diet. You're going to take your protein and make that 30% of your diet. And then here's the key. All the rest of your calories and macros is going to come from fat, depending on whether you want to lose weight or gain weight. So a lot of people are looking to lose weight. That means we need to be calorie deficient. That means we need to be burning more than we're consuming. Now, I feel like my heart's telling me, guys, don't be afraid of this. We have been lied to for our whole lives. It is not fat that makes us fat. It is sugar that makes us fat. So I testify to you that when you start eating, I'm going to go through some of my favorites. And I keep mine very basic, but the sky's the limit, and the books explain so much more. I use the coconut oil. I use almond butter. I love almond butter. I use avocados. Oh gosh, if you guys would pay attention to Mike Lance, it's like his new fruit. It's so funny, but avocados work great. Here's why. They have so much dietary fiber in them. So they have a little bit of carb, but like that lowers just with the dietary fiber, an excellent source of fat. What was the other one that I feel like there's another one I use a lot, but yeah, the coconut oil and the almond butter are really my key staples, and then some avocados. And guys, I don't want to go too far on that. That's where I'm going to remind you, read the books, listen to the podcast. You're going to get more and more information, kind of tidbits of, well, you start better. How many of us use egg whites right now? Probably kind of okay. They're full on recommending just go straight eggs because you need that extra fat. And that's what I was always afraid of. And the books actually talk about the omega-3s and the omega-6s and how that, that constant relationship of having higher 3s over 6s is important to keeping everything. The other product that comes to my mind, I better make sure that I mention this, is your complete essentials with Isagenix. Guys, you are going to be lowering your quality food intake, if that makes sense. So you need these extra minerals. That's why, and I'm just going to profess it, that's why I think Isagenix and keto can come together and do this properly, because if you go normal keto diet without our trace minerals, without the awesome nutrition that John Anderson formulates for us, you're gonna be missing out on a lot of that. So the complete essentials with Isagenix, and they talk about so much about the increase of antioxidants as well on this diet and how much it can help you. So the complete essentials with Isagenix, I left my cleansing to my cleanse days. So another tidbit, no isodelites, no e-shots, no snacks. This is cleansing like, cleansing was kind of supposed to be done. I literally, besides a small pre-workout that I had, and I tried to check the sugars on it, on my both cleanse days, it was only cleanse. And coffee. The coffee, I love our Isa coffee because that won't affect anything. But, I was making sure that I was not needing a snack, if that makes sense. So no apples, no pears, no cucumbers, no nothing, because they all have some sort of carbs. And if you look at your Cleanse for Life, I mean, when I was doing this is actually higher than the recommended 20, but on both cleanse days, I was getting 40 grams of carbs, but it was all cleanse. So I was okay with that because I was also working out. So yeah, cleanse, I mean, all of our products can be used. You're just going to have to manipulate them a little bit. But I think where maybe some of you guys are looking for that, okay, give me an idea of what I'm going to use. Lots of IsaPro. A little bit of isolene if you want. Another shake, I'll just go through it real quick. Later at night, if I wanted a shake, I'm actually going 2 scoops of IsaPro, 2 scoops of coconut oil, and then a scoop of greens. So the greens works very well. I don't think the fruits do because they don't have very much dietary fiber. It's too high in the carbohydrates. But of course, this is going to be your own individual, plan for yourself. Let me just bear with me, just kind of brainstorming what else I may or may not use. Guys, I'm not saying you can't use the Power or the Recover, but they've got the sugars in them. You got to go look at them. And so if you could split it up, if you were really, really had to have them, you could kind of maybe take half doses, see if that would help you. Another constant one that everyone is objecting to is the e-shots, guys. Those I don't have an e-shot with me, and I don't know how many carbs is in one, but that's going to destroy you in the first 14 days. So here's an idea. I thought this was great from Mike Lance. Mike Lance chooses to not drink coffee based on his religious beliefs, my same religious beliefs, but I'm just I defy it. I'm just playing. So honor to him. He was looking for his, how can I get caffeine? I love those e-shots. He actually takes them after his workouts. And so he actually decided he's on the hunt for some green tea, and he's just going to make some sun tea out in his backyard. He lives in sunny Las Vegas. So, start exploring. If you guys are caffeine, need your caffeine, my solution is the Isagenix coffee, straight up. But like I said, the e-shots, you're really going to destroy yourself. I'm going to give you permission. Why don't you bring the e-shots back on after your 14 days when you start just incrementally bringing in more carbohydrates, and we'll get to that. So for the 14 days, a lot of isopro, a lot of oil. What else can I say? Thinking through those 14 days, of course, I've already mentioned the first 2 days were cleanse days. Man, day 3 was tough. I'm not going to hide behind it. I was hangry. And the girl I'm dating, Annalisa, she's so beautiful and cute. She's just like, she could barely stand it with me the one day. So, be aware that you might go through these hangry days and whatever, but sticking to that below 20 or 20 or below is going to get you there faster. Trust me. If you guys say, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to go up to 50, trust me, the authors in the book talk about 50, 50, 50. But they're also saying that 50 grams of carbs consistently a day, you'll probably get into nutritional ketosis in 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know about you, but I'm willing to jump right in and get it. You know what I'm saying? So our body naturally releases ketones when we exercise and when we intermittent fast. So come on, guys, what's a cleanse? You're going to expect your ketones to go up from that and everything. So just kind of thinking, day 8, I actually did great. I responded on day 4, but about day 8, I went through another little day of kind of being hangry. Now let's address that real quick. This is what could be called the keto flu that you hear them talk about. Some people experience headaches, lightheadedness. That was me. Lightheadedness, just a little bit of brain fog is what I would say, but no headaches through that time for me. Tiredness, of course. We've heard when someone's having a tough cleanse day, tell them to go to bed early. This is not a bad idea to do this while you're trying to, if you want to get keto adapted. And then, there was something else on my mind. I might have just slipped about during that 14 days. We got to switch to, or kind of turn our attention to another very important aspect. And I brought these to kind of show them here. Guys, the authors, and I completely agree. The only true way to test your ketone levels, the Precision Ultra Glucose and Ketone Monitor. Guys, just get it. Don't mess around with urine sticks. They make the case in the book about what's happening in our urine for those dipsticks that people are going to, and it's, it can give you a direction, don't get me wrong, but this is the only foolproof to a degree scientific way to know what your ketone levels are. So the book describes what your levels are. If you guys want to write these down, just for kind of a FYI, when ketones are measured in millimoles, and when you hit 0.8 millimoles, you're starting to get into mild ketosis, where you're just starting to get into there. Maybe 1.2, 1.3 is when you are, hey, I'm really fat burning. I'm really feeling that and everything. Now, back to the book, there have been endurance athletes who have gone on 10-hour bike rides and endurance races, if that makes sense, and they were keto adapted and full, and so they measured their ketones. They can get up to, we've read in the book, about 4 or 5. Okay. Now this is extremely important because we had one of our team members reach out to me actually today and showed me his ketone levels. And I was like, whoa, 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 we need to talk. This is why, guys. Now don't be alarmed, but I challenge you guys to learn the difference between ketosis and ketoacidosis. Okay. Ketoacidosis, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, would affect diabetics. And what happens is your ketones go so high, more in the range of like 20, and your blood sugars are actually really high as well. So the insulin is trying to chase those blood sugars. That you got to get straight to a hospital, guys. Ketoacidosis is not good. You could have I think we're saying you could go into a coma over it. Okay. So this is why it's important to test your ketone levels and make sure you're not doing anything too dangerous or your body is not adjusting a way that you didn't expect it to. But for the most part, most people that do not have diabetic issues or blood sugar issues can get into nutritional ketosis and stay there. So I'll share you some of my numbers. One day after exercise, I believe I tested at a 1.4 and I felt it. It felt good. Now I'm going to transition to my workouts are weightlifting workouts, a little bit of cardio, maybe an hour and a half to possibly 2 hours. Now endurance athletes, this is where I wish Mike was on here to tell his experience, but he's been doing like 3 and 4 hour bike rides, guys. And he's been testing his, and I think a lawnmower outside is a little loud. Sorry, guys. He got up to, so his highest level, and it was after a 4 hour bike ride, I believe, was like 3.8 or close to 4. So I want you guys to keep this in perspective, because if you ever tested your ketones and you were 8, 10, 12, you stop everything right now and get yourself to a hospital. Absolutely. That is a sure indicator that there's going to be problems. Not to scare you, but for the most part, we should be okay. So there's also, I believe I'm just going to tell you my testimony instead of try and direct you. Guys, Google, use Amazon. eBay and Amazon has served us the best. But this Precision Ultra meter that I got, make sure when you're buying it that you're getting the one that tests glucose and ketones, because some of them only test glucose. These, I'm going to show them right here. They're actually in my little protective bag. But I believe I can see them over and over on Amazon. These are the ketone testing strips. They are probably what's most pricey to you. I believe they were approaching about $3 a piece, $2.86, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, there's some organization on Amazon who's selling 30 packs for about $90. It's the best deal that we can find. I think Mike Lance told me that he saw on eBay a little bit cheaper. So me personally, I have not been testing my blood glucose at the same time. That's where I'm going to give a shout out again to Mike Lance. He has documented everything down to a T. He has got such great numbers and quantitative research that is going to prove that this is just working. So he was testing in the morning, after exercise, then at night, and then he's kind of adjusted, but he's got all this data, watching his ketones go up, ate this, oh my gosh, went out to, he had a dinner with Travis Garza in Arizona a few weeks ago, maybe it's been like a month ago. And he didn't realize that when he was trying to get his protein in, he ordered a big, I think 12 or 14 ounce steak. Well, he didn't realize how much protein was in that. And so he obviously got too much protein. And trust me, when he jokes about it, he says, when I tested my ketones the next morning, I was completely out of ketosis. And it was because of that extra protein. So keep that in mind. So getting your blood meter, absolutely necessary. You're going to need the little, prick your finger thing. Yes, it sounds like a pain, but to me, it's actually been fun. I'm like, oh, cool. I get done with the workout and I go into the bathroom in the locker room and I'm testing my ketones, and it's just so cool to see sometimes. So you do start feeling it as well. So you'll kind of pay attention to where you might not have to test as much, because you're just like, hey, I'm in there. Who really, especially after the 2 weeks, it really doesn't so much matter if you're 1.2 or 1.4, you're into ketosis, and really burning. Yes, I firmly believe, as far as the extra stuff that I went and got, were the books, the ketone meter, and this is where I have to be very careful. You know, we're all hearing about exogenous ketones. There are companies out there marketing exogenous ketones. And so if you think about it, what we did was we got into nutritional ketosis to where our liver was starting to produce ketones. There is an argument made that you could keep a relatively, maybe not as low as this, but maybe like under 100 grams of carbs a day, and then supplement with exogenous ketones. That is the fitness craze right now, guys. We had FitCon. It's called Utah FitCon out here in Utah a couple weeks ago. It was huge. And the number one company out there, and they are a multi-level marketing company, so I cannot mention their name, but they were there with a big keto academy. I mean, this is huge. You have rock star athletes who are turning to this every single day. LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers is on a ketogenic diet. He started last year. He's super shredded, about 8% body fat at playing. I mean, it's unreal. Tom Brady from the New England Patriots that just won the Super Bowl, ketogenic. And my favorite little cool stat is last year's Tour de France winner and the second place finisher were on ketogenic diets. They were not doing this for 14 days. They are completely keto adapted, which means their body is fat adapted and it is using fat for fuel. So the cool little analogy I felt just inspired to tell this. This is what it comes down to, and it's out of this book. We have about 2,000 calories worth of glycogen in our body. We have 40,000 calories of fat in our body. So what fuel tank would you want to be drawing from, the 2,000 or the 40,000? That's the analogy that you probably want the most. So anyways, I'll keep going with the ketones. Yes, I have gotten, I went to a different company, and it's not multi-level marketing, and they were significantly cheaper per serving, and I got some exogenous ketones as well. And I didn't use them that much. I think maybe once just to taste them in that first 14 days. I wanted to do it nutritionally. But since then, I have been using them. And man, they are fun. They make you feel so good. They shut off your hunger. If any of you are having, and I'm addicted to food. You know, I'm addicted to carbs. This is perfect. So I can mention them. It's kind of funny. I'll make the joke right here because it is what it is. This company is actually, I think, is taking pride that they are not a multi-level marketing company. They take pride that they are not hiding behind a proprietary blend. They tell you how much, and I can't ever say this right, but I believe the main ketone is hydruda. Oh man, I'm just gonna. Basically, there's this chemical name that I can't say very well, but it's the dominant ketone that people are supplementing with. So the benefit of that, I'm just going to mention it's a great company. We actually looked into them to see if there was any referral program, hey, could we buy some at a cheaper price and then sell them to other, just to help people out. There's no need for that. And the company doesn't do that. They're actually looking for brick and mortar businesses. And that's the only way that you could become a partner with them. But the company is called ketoned.com. I believe it's ketone. Some people say it's ketoned, but I'm like, what's keton? Ketoned. So KETOND.com. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's an E in there. Go to their website. They lay it flat out. They give you this awesome little starter pack if you wanted to get it. And that's what I went with. I believe it was around $150. If I'm not mistaken, and I got 2 canisters of ketones. I got a tiger's blood, and I got a mango citrus. They also have caramel macchiato. That sounds amazing now that I've tried these. So the other cool thing is pay attention on their website, they have what they call keto stacks, and they have 3 other products that are more supporting products if you were to supplement with exogenous ketones. One of them, this is what I highly recommend, and this is what I went with. The power of MCT oil, okay? You guys can go out to a health food store, maybe a Sprouts, and find MCT oil, but this is MCT oil powder, 100% from coconuts, and that's one of their keto stacks, so I actually chose that. If you guys did not know, MCT oil specifically increases your ketones in your liver like on contact. It's unreal. So that's the keto stack that I personally chose. So when I make up my ketones, I've done them a few different ways. I tried just oh man, those tiger blood are just to die for. It's like a snow cone, you know what I'm saying? So the tiger's blood, a scoop, the MCT oil powder, I've done that, shake it in a bottle. Because remember, the oil powder it's almost gonna like settle, if that makes sense, because it's a fat in the water. It doesn't just mix all the way. But you could just mix it up like that. You could take it to curb a craving. You can take them. They're actually very highly suggested when you go exercise, because then you're into full fat burning mode when you're using them. Some other treats though, guys, if you're trying to get your protein intake up, there was one day after the gym that I knew I needed a couple of scoops of vanilla IsaPro. You know, I'm a huge believer in, even though your protein might even go down, but you're not eating all the time on a ketogenic diet, you're eating when you're hungry. But I also know that after a good lift or a gym session, the first thing my body needs is protein. So I'm like, aha, I mix 2 scoops of vanilla IsaPro with the ketones and the MCT oil, and it is flat out delicious. It is so good, and you're getting everything you need there. So I highly suggest that, you know, that's what I can recommend that I used. There's other companies. You guys can go Google and search, and whatever makes you feel comfortable. It doesn't bother me. But this company that does the ketoned. So, and then really quick, I'll just mention it. There are 2 other keto stacks in case it sounds enticing to you. They have one that's like a fat burner that helps you burn fat, has CLA in it. The whatever liponic acid or something like that. Anyways, so they have the fat burner, and they also have one with creatine in it that's made for strength and endurance for anyone lifting in the gym. So I have not tried either of those, but those look like great additions to kind of. So if you think about it, if you couldn't have your power, your amped power, because it has carbohydrates in it, you could use this keto stack, as you know, and it has some creatine in it. So there's an idea. And then the last little idea as far as product, as you guys Google, and there's a few key podcasts on YouTube with Dr. Jeffrey Volek. And one of them is, and I think this is a great company. We didn't know too much about it, and we just kind of did some research. It's called UCAN. The letter U, C-A-N, okay? UCAN is a super starch product, and I'll give you the quick synopsis of it. They have taken non-GMO corn and baked it at a very, I think, low heat, if I'm not mistaken, for 40 hours. The real cool thing about this product is it was developed for, like, let's go to the purpose. It was developed for a child specifically, but for a group of children who had this rare disease where their body would not utilize the blood sugars in a storage capacity. So they had to eat a lot. Does that make sense? They would burn it off in an hour, and it would have no blood sugars in themselves. So this UCAN product is a carbohydrate that slowly drips into your system, and it will not take you out of ketosis. So if you guys are craving some carb or need something to put in a shake, you know, you're just like, oh, this is too unbearable, UCAN is a great product. I got to try it down in Las Vegas with my clients. It's super sweet, very tasty, just kind of an idea to throw out there. So yes, thank you guys for being patient. I wasn't super organized. I did want to shoot from the hip and, you know, tell you my experience. As far as the rest of my diet, guys, this is what you're looking at. Lots of, I don't want to say, you can't overdo the protein, but protein, steak, you know, here's another something worth mentioning. I think most people are used to, oh, let all the drippings of my steak fall off. You know, I don't want that extra fat, you know, gristle and everything. Guys, get your ribeyes, because this animal fat that's saturated is the ideal fuel burning source. Trust me, guys, go out for a steak. Have some wings, as long as they're not deep fried, you know, too much or something. Jojo's sitting up there like, I ain't touching it. So what can we do for you, Jojo? How can we get your protein? Tofu? No. She's like, no soy, right? Isn't that soy based, or I don't know. Yeah. So, I'll tell you my diet. I've already said this. I'm okay with keeping it basic. I'm kind of one of those people, oh, that tasted good, I could have that tomorrow. That morning shake that I've already told you about is stupendous. I sometimes do that nightly, not right at night, but later on in the afternoon. And I just switch the greens with the isolene. So there's my carb mix. I do a lot of eggs. I still have some egg whites I'm using, but I'm gonna see if I can shift to the full eggs. I don't know. I haven't, because I feel like I'm getting my supplementation with the complete essentials as well. They highly recommend, guys, Dr. D'Agostino, his favorite food, he's like he doesn't say the number one, but it seems to be, do you guys like sardines? If you guys like sardines, get your sardines on. Oysters are great. So start thinking in the seafood realm. That might even help. Shrimp, stuff like, but of course we're not going to get the sizzler deep fried shrimp, guys. So none of that breading. Be conscious of that. Another huge aspect that's coming to my mind, this is huge. I've talked about the keto flu. So how many of you guys are wondering, is there anything that we can do to avoid that keto flu? Yes, there is. Here's the science behind it, and they talk about it in the book. When you're going keto, your body is flushing out lots of sodium, and you're going to pee a lot. I'm not going to lie. So the authors in the book say you need to supplement back up with 5 whole grams of sodium per day. I mean, that seems like a lot. So here's their quick recommendation. It might work for you guys. You guys know those bouillon cubes? Go get some of those bouillon cubes. One of those cubes is about 2.5. So their argument is, if one time in the morning you took a bouillon cube and mixed it up with hot, that's what we did at Mike's house, actually. We heated some water in a mug and then put a bouillon cube, and I just crushed it up and then heated it a little bit more. And I just kept stirring it and stirring it. But it's like chicken broth. You know what I'm saying? Choose your flavor that chooses better. But guys, you're gonna be depleted so much on sodium. That is your key. Whenever you've got the lightheadedness, think to yourself, am I low on sodium? And go take some. So they said use the bouillon cubes twice per day, and you've got that. And it actually, from their argument, takes all of the symptoms of keto flu that you could ever feel away. So that's a high thing. I'm going to interject my personal side of it as well. I don't know if any of you guys have access to what I have. I buy my drinking water from a local water shop here. To paraphrase what they do, they have their own distiller, but then they have additives. And so the water I have been buying, I've been drinking this for 2 years, is Soleil Himalayan sea salt infused water. I could be wrong, but I just paid attention to me. I believe the reason why I did not experience too bad symptoms of the keto flu is because my water is infused with salt, and it's 99% of what I drink. So that might be an idea. I mean, it just helped me, but like I said, I don't know how many people have access to that. Maybe you could call around. I know you can get your own Soleil Himalayan salt, and maybe possibly I can make your own, infuse it, soak it in there. So that might be a good idea. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I'll even take a scoop of almond butter to get my fat up, and I actually love almond butter, but I'll crack some of my Himalayan pink salt that I have over here on the over here on the counter over it, and it's kind of peanut buttery and salty a little bit, that sweet and salty and everything. So there's an idea. But if you're feeling like crap, feel free to reach out to me, but it's more than likely your salt, your sodium. So time flies, guys. No. Kate, did I answer some? I want you to. Oh, I see Lisa raised her hand. Kate, real quick.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, definitely. I'm curious if you've written down like what you've had, if you kept like a food journal. Sorry, I've got background music. If you kept like a food journal for the past, like when you first started, because I'd love to see just like how you did it all. But yeah, with Isagenix, yeah, just taking notes, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I'm also really happy to see that you're supplementing with the active essentials and the Isagenesis and all that. So cool. Because I have a nutrition background, but I'm like, okay, so how do you combine the two? So cool. Thank you. Really appreciate this.
Awesome. You're welcome. I highly recommend, guys, unless you're just a whiz at really recording, I use MyFitnessPal. It worked the best for me, and I can plug stuff in there. There's some other more custom programs to where, like, I think if I play with it and maybe get the pro account with MyFitnessPal, I can plug in kind of, here's this nutrition profile that I have of this unique food that you don't have in your database. But it gave me a great skeleton to keep track of my macros. So I'll maybe even take some screenshots of that. And that you guys could start okay, for breakfast, he had this shake and it's crazy to see, I'm not going to lie, let's see. 1 scoop of coconut oil is 120 calories times 3 just in fat in one shake. I don't want you guys to be alarmed, but your calories from some of these foods can be, I've had a shake that's 500 calories, Don't be alarmed too much about the calories because you're replacing them to fat calories. So, but I'll take some pictures of that or get that information to you guys, and it might give you a model to kind of keep track of. Lisa, please speak. Oh, you need to unmute yourself unless you want me to. There you go.
Question, how often are you cleansing?
Good question. I cleansed day 1 and day 2, and that was a Saturday and a Sunday. And I went ahead and cleansed the next Saturday and Sunday as well. I felt like I wanted to do that at least within the 14 days and then start feeling how much I'll do it going forward. I'll probably, those double cleanse days really feel good. So I highly recommend to see if you can start doing those again. It really depletes all that, but there might be a point where I'm going to at least cleanse every week. It may just be 1 day.
Right. Okay.
Because think about it. If you've gone true to it, 14 days with 20 grams of carbs, cleansing is going to be a cinch. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna feel. You're like, wow, I feel good anyways. Do I need to cleanse? Okay. Does that help? Any other?
Yeah, but okay. So I'm thinking from a technical standpoint because we eat a bouillon cube every day. Or for salt, think about the toxins that are in that bouillon cube.
Are there?
Oh.
And that's what I agree with is it occurred. This is just my personal standpoint. I am not going to give up cleansing. In fact, the more and more I teach this to people, I really think that the missing element behind a very, very effective ketogenic diet nutritionally is cleansing. It just makes sense that you would cleanse out the body first and would it not make sense that it would take longer to get into ketosis if I did not cleanse? Because the cleanse depletes your body of the carbs and sugars.
Right.
So I will not stop cleansing. I love it. I love the feeling of it. I'll probably do it at least every week. And of course, when we're going to go to celebration with those abs, guys, I haven't even talked about my results. Maybe some of you guys saw it. First 8 days, I knew a bunch of it was going to be water if I'm not mistaken, in the first 8 days, I lost close to 9 pounds. 2 pounds of it was fat. Close to 2 pounds of it was muscle, and a lot of water. So keep in mind, weight is weight. Trust me, it's not going to be 8 pounds of fat. You might lose some. Keep in mind this, there is glycogen within our muscles. So when you start depleting that, your muscles actually will come up to where, I was scared. I was like, well, I didn't want to lose muscle, but it made sense that there was so much glycogen and stuff. And here's my other aspect about mindset. My mindset is shredded. My mindset is not bodybuilder. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind. If some bodybuilder wanted to do this, it might be a little bit tougher because they've got to keep these high amounts of calories. I'm okay with losing a little bit of muscle to shred down to that. If I got below 180 again, guys, get ready to cheer me on in that. I'm excited. I am doing keto for my whole IsaBody challenge. And I'm excited to report those results. So it's going to be, I've made the decision. Of course, I've had some cheat days and probably got up to 50 or 60 grams of carbs, especially when we've gone out. It's not like I don't live, but I am super proud. I'm pumped to see where this could take me over the course of 16 weeks. And I'm, 26 days in? I just feel amazing. If I felt like crap, I would have stopped doing it a week ago. So, Elisa, did you have another question? Because I saw your hands raised.
Yes, actually. Okay, so I'm really confused. How can you eat the fat from a juicy steak? Because my theory is you're always taught that it's bad for you. So how is that not creating heart disease? Why is it good for you? Because your body's burning it?
You've been lied to. You've been lied to. I'm going to quote. Here's another guy that I think is worth following, but I have to be careful. I don't know if I know he's using exogenous ketones, but he's awesome. And I'm not trying to divert anyone to him. You know, I desire to, but he's got a great program. His name is Drew Manning, and he is better known as the fat to fit to fat, or fit to fat to fit. So what he did is he was a guy who literally lost weight and got into shape, and people said, we don't know what it's like to be fat. And so he got fat again. He gained it all back just to show them that he could do it again. He's written a great book. He has fully taken, and I've watched some of his videos on Facebook. People ask this question all the time, Lisa. Wait a second. I'm going to get sick. No, we have been lied to. Fat is not what's creating the heart disease.
It's the sugar.
It's the sugar. And the I don't want to say all carbs, but it's the sugar, flour, refined stuff. Because now we got to make sure, maybe JoJo can even pipe in on this, but I know there are some bad fats. You know, we're aware of that. That's what I'm saying is you got to choose your good fats. This video or this book talks about those. Not to get too technical, but there's the monosaturated, then there's the polysaturated, and then the other one, the unsaturated, right? Is it all three? Anyways, you guys, we want to stay away. I think if I'm not mistaken, stay away from the polyunsaturated. So that's why they're saying things like when you go choose a mayo, if you're going to do mayo, that's great, but get mayo that is not made with soybean oil. That's terrible for you. Things like that. So like I said, go get the book. Get it on Kindle tonight and start reading it. You'll fly right through it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the questions, Lisa. Kate, I hope we're helping you out. And JoJo, thank you for joining us. My mom's there. I may or may not have answered everything or gone through everything. I could see myself in the next half hour go, wait a second, I should have said that. But I wanted this to be totally authentic and I sincerely appreciate you guys coming and supporting and just listening. And Kate, I'm excited for where you want to. So yeah, tell us more, Kate. What are you looking to do? What have you been doing?
I've been doing just the straight Isagenix program, kind of on and off. I've been with Isagenix now for 4 years, so kind of come up and down. And I'm now getting more into weightlifting. I kind of go back and forth between weightlifting and endurance. And now, but I still my goal is to gain muscle and lose fat. You know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I'm going to echo, you've hit the right program. And if you're kind of asking yourself at all, well, these are my goals. Carter and other people are telling me I could hit them, but how does this work? That's what these books, it really helps you develop the mindset of, oh my gosh. So here was me. I'll just give you my example. I was prepared that my performance, so that meant the weight of my weights and the number of reps that I was getting at the gym were going to go down for that adaptation period. Then I continued reading. What? My performance is actually going to go up? Guys, go check my Facebook wall. It is unreal. Unreal. 2 weeks before going keto, I was gassing out after 75 to 80% of my lifts. I was like, what is going on here? This week, all of my weights are, dude, they're too low. I have to increase my weights and I'm getting my full workload. It's unreal. I'm going to keep going. Mike Lance, I get a text from him every single morning. Oh my gosh, I'm addicted to keto. You feel fantastic. If you want to feel good in this head, and that's where I'm going to kind of come to a close and just leave you with Drew Manning, the same guy I talked about. I saw a video and him mention it. Everyone is going to have the reason why they want to do it or the greatest benefit they felt. Someone may lose a bunch of fat weight. Another person may correct their blood sugar issues. Here is mine. My mental clarity is through the roof. It's unreal. I call it Mike all the time and I'm like, is this like for real? I am sharp on it. And for anyone building their business, anyone trying to keep up with contacting people, that's going to be a benefit. So, yes, Jojo, I'd love to help you. You're probably more expert than I am, but knowing that this could be a struggle for anyone vegetarian or vegan. Absolutely. I think that would be a good thing that we kind of explore, and maybe we can come up with those solutions for those vegan people. You know what I'm saying? Lots of avocados, I guess, so.
Avocado and nuts.
Yeah.
Jojo, are you straight up vegan? No, okay, just vegetarian. Okay. All right.
Well,
yeah, I eat eggs and I have fish now and then, and lots of nut butter and IsaPro.
so let me read you this. I'll read you a couple. I just feel like my heart, man. When I started reading some of these recipes in the book, I'm like, dude, I can eat like this. Okay, buffalo style chicken salad with creamy blueberry dessert. Come on, guys. A lot of your fat in those desserts are going to come from heavy cream. Okay. The other one that was cool was, where was it? It's, let's see if I can find it. We actually made it down at Mike's house, but we didn't let it cool long enough, but it was okay. And it's like, okay, I can see the difference, but basically it was, let me just see if I can find it. It was maple walnut ice cream. So you're not gonna, if you got, I don't know if any of you guys are homemade ice cream fans, but man, this is your chance to go to town. And they really, I won't go too far, but they really spell out what you can do. You're really taking carbohydrate induced, creamers or sugars and just changing that over to heavy whipping cream. Anything. It's kind of funny. I've forever been eating Faye Greek yogurt, the 0%, no fat. Yeah, right. Throw that out. I need like 4% fat. You know what I'm saying? I need my fat in there. And Faye is so Greek yogurt is highly recommended to get some protein and fat in there. So anyways, I'm going to kind of come to an end. We can always meet again. I hope you guys all found something great from this and had at least an aha moment. And I want to just thank you again. Lisa, I see another hand up. Why don't you end us? Oh, you're muted. Let me here. Okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Awesome.
I'm good.
Jojo?
Very interesting.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Jojo?
It's very interesting.
Very interesting. She's been paying attention to Jojo. Has anyone else reached out to you? I know a few people kind of within the team. There's a few, Raphael reached out to me. He's been doing a little bit. Has anyone else been telling you their results?
I've had people ask, and I just said that I am learning. So I'm watching and learning, and it goes against my better nature to tell people to eat heavy cream and stay fat. So I get the point of it, but I also think, Lisa, I don't know why your computer always sounds like that when you're on Zoom.
Yeah, it echoes.
I don't know if is that what it is. I'm like, she has gremlins in her computer. I've I have questions, you know, about, I get the point of sugar causing metabolic syndrome versus the fat. And I get the point that, you know, we took the fat out of everything and everybody got fatter and sicker. And, you know, I get all that. I'm watching and learning. And even when I did my CEUs, there was a really interesting section on paleo and how paleo athletes using a paleo diet are creating more sugar in their system because the fat, the meat is converting to sugar. And so there's a correlation there that is making me question both sides. And I don't know, I mean, I know paleo a little bit, but I feel like there's some sort of correlation there that, you know, there could be something underlying on the other side. And, you know, thinking back to Atkins and watching people go through Atkins, and which is, if you look at Atkins in its purest form before it was tainted by market, Atkins in his purest form is straight ketosis. That's what they taught. It was very low carb, very high fat, very high protein, and it's really similar to what this is. So I'm trying to figure out how it switched over, because when we watch people come off of Atkins and blow up like balloons, and who still can't lose it. Yep. And so there's lots of interesting questions that I have on the other side of, you know, of knowing all of these little bits and pieces that all make me question, you know. And obviously there's something that one of them is true. I just don't know which one it is.
Yeah. Hey, I honor all that. And I think the thing that excites me the most, and I'm hoping to kind of throw this attitude towards other people, is, to me, this isn't black and white. To me, this is a learning experience. So I like that. I'm learning, I'm listening. There's been a few ideas that never resonated with me. There's others that are like, well, that makes complete sense. But to quickly, not in any way to dispute, but from what I've heard from Dr. D'Agostino, from Dr. Volek, they're on the podcast, I've heard them all address that difference, and they all come to it and they say, well, unfortunately, people didn't know that you can get too much protein. So when people were on, see, I wasn't part of the Atkins arena. I don't know what was said. I talked to my mom. She talks to me about how her parents did it clear back in the day and whatever. But it was really, everything I'm hearing is nobody said stop at a certain amount of protein. It was eat all the protein you want. And that is not disputed.
You know how he died, right?
Yeah. What's that again?
You know how he died?
No, no.
Dr. Atkins had a heart attack and died.
There you go. So I could be wrong, guys, but that's why, and this is a real key to it. I mean, me and Mike have talked about this over and over and over, and it's true. I'll go back to it real quick. When he had the big old steak with Travis Garza that night, he fell right out of ketosis. Well, that was his proof that too much protein can be too much protein. So that's what I'm going to urge you guys all to do. If you're going to take this on seriously, figure out by keeping track. You know, first of all, we're going to get you a ballpark figure, well, not a ballpark, more like at least a first base, at least figure, right, of what your protein intake is. But then if you are following that and then not seeing yourself get into ketosis, we need to adjust that. But if you're following it and you get into ketosis, and then one night you say, oh, well, we're going to go out and have crab legs, and you know you did tons of protein, and then you fell out of ketosis, well, there's your sure indicator. That's what I personally believe from listening to the research, is you can have too much protein, and too much protein turns into glucose, which you've got that extra, you know, I couldn't agree more, Jojo. So this will be interesting. And I also believe that it's not a blanket thing. if my dad came to me and said, let's go keto, I'd be like, whoa. We're not going to get keto with you. Now, I love my father, but he needs to start somewhere. So to me, this is what it's going to be beneficial for. I have been, you know, I'm still 3 years in, but at the same time, I've met a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who have gained their weight back from Isagenix, and they're stuck. People reached out to me immediately and said, dude, I lost a bunch of weight. I gained some of it back. I do believe in this nutrition, and what we're coming up, not me personally, but the argument is made is 50%, I think, maybe I have the figure wrong. 50% of all Americans are insulin resistant. So that's a huge factor, is if your insulin, if the carbs that are going into your body, your insulin is going through the roof because it's trying to catch up. But basically what happens is all that extra carb never goes into an energy source. It just gets stored. I won't go too far into that, but that's where Mike Lance is coming from. He raced the World Championship Ironman at 2:08. He is about 180 right now. And so do the math. That's like 25 pounds, but his performance has returned. So now his power to weight ratio is higher. Does that make sense? So if he's on his bike, he's going to get there faster than the 200-pound guy because he weighs 25 pounds less or something like that. So keep that in mind. Is to me, I'm shredding up. I love the way I feel, especially in the midsection. Annalisa, the girl I'm dating, she keeps poking at me and she's like, ooh, sexy abs. And so, I mean, it's working. It's absolutely working. And I'll just kind of end it with this. If I felt like crap over and over, it would not be worth it to me. This needs to become something that you can manage and that you can do. So it may not be for everyone.
Well, and then I have to decide if I want to give up popcorn for the rest of my life or something, so it's, but there's the questions of, because coconut oil is a saturated fat, and what that does in mass amount, because that's a mass amount.
Yes, it is.
It's a mass amount. On a regular basis, how your body deals with that. And so, it's just understanding how it utilizes the saturated fat when that's, we know that's the one. Is it a lie or is it not a lie that saturated fat is bad for you? So there's two different sides of the story. And does it create inflammation and can it heal in the beginning and then it turns around and counteracts on you? So there's lots of questions. And after watching this for so long and doing this for so long, I believe that the majority of people that have plateaued out in Isagenix, even though they feel like they're doing the product efficiently, are not eating enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Everyone is starving.
Yeah, and their body is holding on to everything.
They're all in starvation mode. If I talk to, me included. So, in increasing calories, in increasing the amount of meals a day, in increasing whatever that is, we've been able to get people to move past that just by taking a look at what they're intaking in a day. Gotcha. Most people, they think 2 shakes at a meal and I'm all good. And after a certain amount of time, it's not all good. And it's not enough to keep your metabolism fired. You have to add in more. So,
agreed. Because before this, I was eating 4 to 6 times a day, keeping, and it works when you keep that metabolism going. I agree with you, JoJo. And depending on what their activity level is as well. So.
Do I want to go get on stage and be the senior bodybuilder? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Right. Hey guys, love you to death. Anything else quickly before I end? We're good.
No, I'm good. I have to run. Thank you so much.
Yes, Kate. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad it worked out. Sorry to go too long or if it went long, but
I'm good.
Bye. See y'all again.
Bye.